funny enough, like when I started traveling the most, and when I stopped putting as many hours into my business, it kind of just skyrocketed. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Art of E-commerce. Early morning here in Madrid, but yeah, we're gonna get straight into it. We're talking about traveling. We're talking about work setup, environment, how to best optimize for it, and we're also gonna talk a bit about the digital nomad lifestyle, our thoughts, our opinions on it. Does it work? Is it good for scaling? When does it make sense to do that?
Yeah, I'm excited for this one, especially because, at the very start, when I first was thinking about taking the plunge into entrepreneurship, like I knew what I didn't want out of life. But what I did want was more of like a faint image than it is nowadays. And a lot of it involved being able to see the world, travel to different parts, do this and that, live 6 months here, live 3 months there. But as I've been in the space more and I've seen other people and what they do and the realities of life in the end of the day and what the setup consists of and the day-to-day requirements of actually running your business, I've started to have some other ideas and I'm sure we'll unpack a bunch of them while we go through.
Well, I think one thing that I'll say there is, like, you got to try it, man. So just because you see it done by someone else doesn't mean that's going to be the setup that works for you. For example, like I know my CTO brother, like he's probably going to do the digital nomad lifestyle for a bunch of time, and it's probably going to work pretty well for him, hopefully, because he needs to do quite a lot of work. But yeah, I mean, you just got to try it. Like I do think there's space for like traveling, 3 months, 6 months, 4 months of the year. But I feel like, as we spoke about, like I think there's a lot of value in having a base, like where everything is just optimized around getting shit done. Obviously, it's not the only thing that you do there, right? Hopefully you can also have a cool lifestyle around it. You have, go to the gym, go to cool places, restaurants, and all that stuff. But I think it's there is value in having like a base where you can operate where you can operate from.
100%. I mean, as you do go like around the world, it's also important to note that, like, it's one thing to go and decide to set up base for 3 months in a certain place, and it's another thing to decide like, oh, okay, I'm gonna spend a week here, a week there, and jump around from place to place. Yeah. Because I mean, especially this last year, you've traveled quite a bit, right? And you've seen how like that actually impacts the workflow and how things are going, right? And I mean, you've gotten to a point in your business where you can do that, and where the systems and processes are actually optimized, and you can do that with an easier conscience. But like, if you weren't at that stage, right? So let's say like a year or two ago, or even 18 months, where things weren't as they are now, and you were still working more on the business, do you think it would be realistic for you to travel as much as you did this year?
That's a great question, and it really depends on as you mentioned, it really depends on the phase of business you're currently at, right? And the reason why I say that is because at the start, it's kind of like you running your own show, right? And so if you're not showing up to your own show, like, the show is not really going to grow, right? And so at the start, if you're trying to scale, grow anything, like you have to put in the hours, right? And anything, traveling and all this stuff, at the end of the day, is a bit of a, it's something that takes you out of the flow, right? Because there's a lot of moving variables. What's the Wi-Fi going to be like? Where are you working from? Is it hot? Is it, what are the work, what are the, what does the setup look like, right? And so it can distract you from your work when work is the number one variable to your success, right? And the amount of hours you put into your work is the number one variable to your success, especially at the start. But as you start scaling, I found so much value in being able to step back, right? Step away from the beast almost, and look at the treetops instead of being in the trenches so much, and think more about the long term. What are some things that I need to work on? What are some, just generally reflect on where we're heading as a company, right? And that has been of tremendous value to me, because, funny enough, like when I started traveling the most, and when I stopped putting as many hours into my business, it kind of just skyrocketed. And I'm not saying it was because of that, right? but it's because, it's a byproduct of a bunch of things. Like, for example, me giving up control of a bunch of things that I shouldn't have been doing, delegating that to people in my team, building them up, training them, all that stuff, right? So I think when you get to a certain level with your business, maybe, I don't think there's a certain figure, but once you're looking to get to 100K per month, or 150K per month, it does make sense to step away from the beast every once in a while to look at the treetops. But when you're starting out, you really want to make sure you keep the setup and the setup as predictable as possible. And obviously, it really comes down to like your ambitions. Like, a lot of people are very happy just making 10K a month and being able to travel and have financial location freedom. I'm more of a person that loves to build shit. Like, it's not so much about the money for me. Like, it's just the sense of like creating new stuff and building new stuff. Like, I don't know, creating these, the podcast and, launching new stuff, right? And so that for me is what like fires me up. So you just have to like understand yourself, like what are your ambitions, and then also understand that, especially at the start, it's all about keeping things predictable, because you are the number one determinant. The amount of hours you put in as yourself is the number one determinant of your success.
I mean, two things to pick out from there. The first is this concept of like, you're putting in the hours. And, one thing I like to say a lot is that we all have 168 hours in a week, right? So if you're putting in the hours for your business, for into your own growth, be it through courses, through books, through watching things, you're going to be sacrificing time that you could be spending on other things, right? So be that going on a trip with the homies that everybody's going to get smashed for a week straight in Cancun, or be it, going out every weekend where everybody else is, these kinds of things, and really being able to focus on what it is that you want to do and prioritize exactly the things that will move the needle forward for you. And the second point I really wanted to touch on was the fact that, like, I think we might have alluded to this on another episode, but just unpack it a bit more. This difference between like lifestyle and legacy entrepreneurship, right? So I mean, you want to unpack it a bit?
Yes, I would say like the main difference is that if you're a lifestyle entrepreneur, which is really kind of popular right now, it's you build some sort of thing, right? You hop on a financial vehicle that makes you enough money so that it can fund your lifestyle, and your number one goal is just to have fun. Like, there's people in this world that their main motivation reason why they've been put on this earth is just to enjoy, like, have fun and like enjoy themselves, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I think it's just having the self-awareness to understand, like, what do you want to do with the life you've been given, right? And then on the flip side, the legacy entrepreneur, for me, the way I see it, right, are those people that aren't just looking to build something that makes them money, right? They're not really thinking just about themselves and about how they can like spend this money on, traveling or whatever, right? They're thinking about building an organization. They're thinking about impacting not only team members, putting food on their team members' table, but also impacting, customers, clients all over the world, right? And leaving something that's bigger than them almost, right? So they're thinking about building something that's bigger than them. They're not really thinking about what's in it for me as much. And it might sound like I'm biased towards the legacy entrepreneur. It does resonate way more with me, but I do understand that different people have different ambitions and visions in life. Not everyone has to have this big vision of leaving a legacy behind and impacting millions of people. Absolutely not, right? If you think your mission is to just enjoy yourself and have fun with your loved ones, like, maybe lifestyle entrepreneurship suits you better. And I think with business models like building an agency for e-commerce business, right? Or e-com brands, whatever it is, right? These businesses are also well suited for lifestyle entrepreneurship. So for me, those are the main two differences.
And based on that as well, something that I see a lot from people who, I mean, contact me, or from people I see in the space, is this concept of passive income, right? And thinking that, like, oh, you can just set something up and then you're chilling for the rest of your life, and the cash flow is steady and things are just working like that. And I mean, in the end of the day, it's really not that simple, right? It's really not that easy. And if it were that easy, everybody would do it.
Right.
But yeah, you want to dispel the catch for that.
I mean, here's the thing about passive income. I'm not saying I don't believe in it. I just don't. I think it's been painted in a very faint manner. You know, like I think the the vision that people have of passive income is just not very well well grounded. You know, and in the actual reality. But I think passive income, the way I see passive income is you put in the work for 1, 2, 3, 4 years, right? So you front load a lot of work, you build systems, you build a process, you build a business, right? A machine, and then you put people in it, you put robots, automations in it, and then it runs without as much involvement from your side as you had put in previously, right? I think that when I think of passive income, that's where I think of where it comes into play. Obviously, there are more clear examples of passive income with certain investments where you just like, I don't know, it pays you dividends every single month or whatever it is, or I don't know. But at the same time, when I think of business, which is my primary like investment, because I'm not really big into trading stocks or crypto, all this stuff. For me, that's what I mean by that. Like you put in, you front load a bunch of work, right? You systemize things, you build processes around it, you put people in those systems, you build a machine, and then you can step away from that machine and have it run pretty much without your involvement. One of the things that I tell my mentees a bunch is for their agency, right? If their agency cannot be run without them, or it cannot self-sustain itself, it's not going to be very scalable, right? Funny enough, a lot of them, like they feel kind of guilty at times when they're not as involved, but that is a good sign, because trust me, when you start scaling, you're going to have to be a bit more involved, because things are going to start to break, and different phases of growth are going to require you to step in and fix things and create new systems, right? But that is the role of a founder CEO, to create systems, fix things, create new processes, right? And then step away and constantly doing that. So that's where I see passive income come in when building businesses. I'm not really going to talk about stock trading and all this stuff, because I'm not an expert, right? I like for the my thing is like building businesses. But that's where I see passive income come in.
So like really just dispelling the catch that like there's no such thing as buying a course and having passive income, right? Or buying a program or being taught by someone and having this cash flow coming in. Like that's just mythology. You're gonna have to build this machine. You're gonna have to work for something. If eventually you're able to remove yourself out of the equation as much as possible, or as much as you want to have it working for you, then great. Like that's you've succeeded. But until you do succeed, you're not going to be able to do that. And it's not just going to be easy sipping pina coladas in the beach.
No. We were talking about this the other day. Like, if you see something that makes you money easy, like, and that seems like it could make you money very easy, that you want to run the other way, right? Because even if it does exist, like for example the crypto bull run that we just had, like even if it seems way too good to be true, like there's always some sort of trade, right? Whether it's your energy, whether it's your mental mental well-being, whether it's like what goes up comes back down, whether it's you not building something, just investing into something, right? That doesn't give you much longevity. Like there's always a trade. And so, yeah, just be aware of that. I think that's a good point. Like, there's a lot of that, just, simply put. And I think, I'm constantly just like, if I think it's way too good to be true, I just run the opposite way. I think there are, e-commerce, e-com agency, like it could sound way too good to be true, especially if you are in this like older mindset where like things, making 10K a month or 20K per month, like it should be way harder than it actually is. But that is a completely different thing, right? Like that is just because you're not aware of like how a business works and the type of wealth that you can build in a business. But I'm talking about a completely different thing where you're not putting in as much work. You're basically like kind of delegating responsibility to this thing that will hopefully make you money. That always has a trade at the end of it.
So, I mean, getting back on track to the original topic, when you're traveling, right? And I mean, let's be clear also, when you're traveling, the priority isn't going to be to get work done.
No. And
right?
and that's another thing that I wanted to mention is like the thing about me is I don't really like I'm not saying I'm an extremist, but if I'm traveling, like I'm not really like I'm looking to relax, and that's another thing why I'm not a huge fan of like the digital nomad lifestyle is because like if I'm traveling, I want to really feel the energy of this place. Like I really want to engage with this place, and I don't really want to be thinking of work too much. I'll do I'll wake up early, I'll do my things, and boom, done. Right, done. Right, I'm not thinking about work the rest of the day. But yeah, I'd rather be like fully present and fully engaged for a shorter period of time than like be thinking of growing my business and doing this and this and that.
So in terms of that, you'd say the workflow is very like morning heavy, and then just kind of getting through the rest of the day.
For me is purely like, I mean, it's really early in the morning, right? So I'll wake up before, if I'm traveling with Augusta, I'll wake up before she does. I'll get it done, and then like 9 a.m. rolls around, and by breakfast I'm done with like the really heavy hitting stuff that I need to do that day, right? And again, these are kind of like hygiene activities, right? Like I need to get them done just to keep the boat cruising, right? It's not, maybe a few of them are revenue generating activities, right? That are going to generate revenue, for example, following up with certain prospects, maybe jumping on a sales call here and there. So I'll do that early in the morning before the day starts, and then towards the evening, before going to bed, I'll just make sure that everything's running smoothly. I'll answer a few Slack messages from the team, from clients, just make sure that everyone is happy, and then boom, done, right? And so then I have the whole bulk of the day to actually enjoy myself if I'm traveling. Maybe I'll check Slack here and there on my phone, but that's really it.
And when you're traveling as well, I mean, I know you're not into the whole like materialistic side of things, but like, do you have some items that you like just think make your life so much easier when you're going abroad that you really like? It's hard to say couldn't live without, but like you'd really stick up for.
I mean, here's the thing. When I travel, I want to travel light. So for me, the main thing that I like doing when I travel is just go to really nice places. Like we'll be very meticulous about the places we pick, and I've spoken about this previously. Like for me, I want to invest into experiences. I want to invest into things that make me more excited to grow and just generally that's kind of like the things that I like spending my money on. So I'll splurge on like some like hotel or like villa or whatever, right? Just to really enjoy the trip and to make it as enjoyable as possible, right? I'm not saying you have to go to the best villa to enjoy yourself, but that's kind of like the way I see it. In terms of like my material possessions that I carry, honestly, usually my camera, right? So I can shoot some content. My lens, my camera, my microphone, like for the camera, then like 1 to 2 books, and then a bunch of clothes that I probably should buy more of. But that's pretty much it. I and then like a carry-on bag, and then obviously like a little suitcase. But that's really all. And then obviously my laptop, and also my little notebook, where I basically have like, I have so I essentially have 2 notebooks, right? I've got my daily journal where I reflect, and then I've got my I call it business journal, right? The business journal is where I'll take notes when I'm on sales calls. So I'll take notes of like what they're saying and some of the important stuff. Maybe I'll plan what I got to do there as well, right? I have it on my laptop, but sometimes I like to write it out as well. I'll note down ideas, so it's kind of like business stuff, and this one is more like kind of like a personal journal for reflecting and all that.
And then finally, just to start bringing this towards an end, if there's people watching who are like about to start their entrepreneurial journey, right, and the thing they really have in mind is, I want to travel the world, do you have any specific advice? Would you be for it, against it? Would you tell them to use it as a fire? Would you tell them to look at other things? Like, what are your thoughts on starting based on that?
As if do it, like the thing is, for me, it was never like, I've only really started to realize that I really enjoy traveling as of late when I started traveling. Obviously, I enjoy traveling. I think everyone does, right? But it wasn't like a priority of mine. Then I realized that it really just opened my eyes to the world. I started to have more empathy, towards the world, and just like saw the massive importance of traveling, because we're literally like in this rock, and you might as well see as much of it as possible, before you die. But it was never really like a motivation of mine when I started. I had very different motivations. But if that's your motivation, when even before starting, then clearly you have to chase it, right? So I would say, yeah, 100%. And those people are probably more lifestyle entrepreneurs. Maybe they realize that traveling is not what they wanted to do, because maybe they hadn't really traveled before starting their business. Now they have the money to travel, and now they start traveling, and they realize like this is but I enjoy way too much working on my business to be traveling this much, and I want to set up a base, and maybe they change minds. But I think the key is to just do, and test your hypothesis, and then make decisions on real data. Like don't let anyone tell you how to live your life, essentially, right? Like that's not what we're doing with the podcast as well. And I think that's like something that is important to us. Like I'm not gonna ever let anyone tell me how to live my life. Obviously, I think there's huge value in listening to, like, having a mentor, but not for, like, I just don't believe in life coach. Like I believe in having mentors for specific areas of your life. Like, for example, building a business. Yeah, obviously, they built that business, that same business, and they could definitely help you get that business successful. But if someone is telling you how to live, like, you got to be careful, right? And you can take inspiration, right? You can see, you can think, this is cool. Let me try it. Let me figure this out. So as a way to wrap it, I think just do your independent thinking. Like, see the world through your own eyes, and then make your own decisions. Do not let anyone tell you how to live. That's what I would say to those people.
100%, and be wary of life coaches. They come in all different shapes and sizes.
Facts. But yeah, guys, that is a wrap. That is that for another episode of the Art of E-commerce. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and smash the like button and hit the little bell icon and subscribe for more episodes. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, then all you got to do is subscribe for more episodes. And with that being said, thank you, Tony. Thank you for listening in, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.